Science Guy. Bill Nye, the Science Guy. Bill Nye, the Science Guy.
Science rules.
Science rules. Science rules. Science rules.
Bill Nye, the Science Guy.
Inertia is a property of matter.
Bill Nye, the Science Guy.
T minus 7 seconds.
Bill Nye, the Science Guy.
Wait, stop! It's not time for Bill Nye right now. Right now, what we need you to do is take out your bright pink class syllabus. Okay, you're going to need this syllabus as you go along through the videos today. You can find how to get to the videos on the very back page of the packet. It tells you how to get to our School Point online classroom, specific instructions how to get there and what to click on. And as you go through the 3 videos today, we're going to tell you which pages of the class syllabus that we're going to focus on. It's a really, really good idea for you to have a highlighter or something out in front of you, maybe just a pencil, to underline some key points as we go through these 3 videos. Okay, there's also a question sheet on the back, so if you have questions as you go along through the videos that you're wondering about, jot those down. We may not answer them in the video, but you can certainly ask us in class. We'll give you time to do so. All right, we're ready to do pages 1, 2, and 3 of your class procedure pack. Hi, welcome 8th grade students.
We are going to have a fantastic year. We're going to try to use these movies to kind of speed us through some of our classroom procedures, get all the boring stuff out of the way, but it's very important stuff because it's going to explain to you how our classrooms are going to run throughout the year.
Absolutely right. We are going to talk today about our grading policies. We'll kind of show you how our classroom is broken down into several categories that you're going to be graded within. Then after that, we will be talking about a very specific category called data assignments. And then after that, we're going to be talking about what to do if you happen to be absent throughout the course of the year or sometime during the course of the year.
Couple of important materials that you need to, when I show them, is a 2-inch notebook, 3-ring binder. 3 rings meaning you open it up and there's 3 metal rings. Every piece of paper that we're going to hand you this year is going to have 3 holes punched into it, and we're going to tell you specifically where in that notebook it should go. Getting organized and having a good system is going to be a real key to your success in our science class this year. In the notebook, you're going to need a couple of dividers. We're going to have the current topic, a little similar to last year, previous topic, the state science assessment review section, as well as a section for important papers, things that are going to be important to us throughout the year.
So you guys need to get your dividers ready. You need to fill out those tabs according to your classroom syllabus, which is the very first page. It'll be nice and bright colored so you can look and see what your tabs should be called, and then you can set them up at home.
And as far as a day-to-day classroom, of course, you need to come with something to write with. You need to come with your planner, your notebook, and of course your covered textbook. From time to time, you're going to need a box, some colored pencils. We try to let you know in advance, but that should get you set for your classroom this year.
Something actually is missing from here. We will require a calculator quite a bit, so you're going to definitely want to have a calculator with you. And again, we'll let you know when we need to use that pretty regularly. But the one that you're using for math is just fine. So whatever you're using for your math class is okay. You can bring that in here and it will serve for science as well.
Okay.
Science rules. Begin talking about our grading policies in this class, and basically your grade is weighted, and what that means is out of 100%, we have specific categories that are going to take on a certain percentage, and some of them are going to have a little bit more value than others. For instance, we have our major unit exams. Those are called summative assessments. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the terminology there. Those are the heaviest weights. Franklin's cell phone.
Yeah.
Those are that's the heaviest weighted category. Each one of your unit tests is worth 50% of your total grade, total science grade. So very high value category. Periodically throughout the quarter, we're also going to give you little quizzes to kind of check your understanding of the material. Before you have the major unit exam, those are worth 20%. So, the tests and quizzes together will make up 70% of your total science grade per quarter. Then we have our labs, which are 15%. Homework, which will be probably pretty frequent, I would say nightly.
3 to 4 times a week.
3 to 4 times per
We
week.
try to avoid Fridays.
Right. But 3 to 4 times per week, you're going to have a homework assignment, and that's really, necessary for you to do to understand the material and make sure that you're ready for those summative assessments and those formatives, those quizzes. So that category is worth 10%, and then finally, we're going to give you an entirely a different explanation about data assignments because a lot of students have questions about this particular category, but that will be weighted 5% of your grade. So all of this adds up to 100%.
Essentially, what a weighted grade does is it gives more value to the summatives. That's going to have a bigger impact on your grade than a little homework assignment. So let's say you get a 5 out of 10 on a homework assignment, that's a 50%. That's not going to affect your grade as much as a 50% on a big summative assessment would. We want your grade to represent your knowledge base in this class, and so that's why those summative assessments have such a big value. Crazy, some kids have no understanding of what a weighted grade is, and they thought it had something to do with their actual weight. No, of course not. It's just giving, again, more value to the tests than to a little homework assignment. Not that that homework isn't important. Homework is practice for the big test. You guys would not, on the football team or the volleyball team, you would not try to execute a brand new play without trying it first and before the game. And that's exactly what homework is. It's practice for the big game, whether it's a quiz or the summative. And so the homework we give you has incredibly important value so that you can practice the skill that you've learned in class. And it helps us figure out if you get it or if you don't get it. If you don't get it, then we'll have ideas and suggestions of what to do if you don't understand something.
You want to keep going, or you want to?
What's next?
Oh, so we kind of already talked about this, Mrs. Franklin.
Yeah.
Our summative assessments, just so you can kind of, be aware of how our classroom runs, they're generally going to happen about twice per quarter. Sometimes we can get in a third summative assessment, but after we've completed a set of learning targets, which are the things that we want you to know before our major unit tests. After we've completed an entire set of learning targets, you can expect a major unit test, which is a summative assessment. We'll let you know at least a week in advance so that you can start to get ready for that summative assessment, but certainly we encourage you all year long to study a little bit at a time. After you've had a lesson one day, go back over that material. Turn that phone off, please.
Yeah.
She's going to turn the phone off and then
Yeah.
resume. Okay, here we go. So after we have a lesson, it's highly encouraged that you go home and just review that material so you keep it fresh in your mind. This way, when you get to a couple of days before the summative exam, you don't have to spend a huge amount of time going back over all of that material. It'll be somewhat fresh in your mind, and you can just kind of, review.
Just to piggyback on what she's saying, just like last year, you guys got a set of learning targets. We do the same thing in 8th grade science. We're going to give you that set of learning targets on the first day of class of the unit, and you'll know when it's getting close to an assessment because we march right down that page. Everything we do is going to be tied to those learning targets, and as You used them last year, you'll use them again this year to guide your study as you're preparing for those tests.
And we'll come back to these in a second, but you can expect a quiz about halfway through your learning targets. So once we get about halfway through this page, you'll probably get a little quiz just to kind of check your understanding of the first few learning targets. And then you'll have a major summative assessment over the entire page, okay, after all of the learning targets are complete. Going back to these two, SLOs are student learning outcomes.
Right.
Or
It's to measure growth, just like we did last year in science class, where you'll take a pretest, and then after almost a whole semester, you'll take the post-test. And of course, you're going to score really poorly on the pretest, and then you'll score really well on the post-test. It's a way to measure how much you've learned over the course of a semester. So you'll have one this fall, and then you'll have another SLO in the spring. And these do count as assessment grades, not the pretest, of course, but the post-test does count as an assessment grade and is figured into your grade overall. What's on the next slide?
I think labs. No.
No, homework.
As we mentioned before,
Yeah.
homework is really necessary, even though it doesn't have as much value or weight as a summative assessment. Remember, that is the practice to get you ready for the quizzes and summative assessments.
Yeah. But we also understand we can't get to our props. They need to be on that table.
Oh, okay, we'll get to the props. We'll get the props.
I'm getting the props.
So anyway, the homework is going to be given 3 to 4 times a week, and as Mrs. Frankman said before, we try to avoid Fridays because we know that you guys are working hard throughout the year and you've got activities planned and things going on over the weekend with your family. So we try to avoid Fridays to the best of our ability, but sometimes we can't avoid a Friday. A lot of times we will give homework assignments in advance, so you have the option to do it over a few days. We highly recommend that you don't wait until the very last minute, the day before the due date, to do those homework assignments, because we cannot guarantee that we're not going to give additional assignments as well over that 3-day span.
But we also understand sometimes things come up and you can't get your homework done. That's where these things come in to play. They're called quarterly homework passes. What this is, you get one for each quarter, each of the 4 quarters, and what it does, it actually buys you 1 day of time, so that if the homework assignment was due today, you can turn in a quarterly homework pass, and that means you can wait and turn it in tomorrow and still get full credit for the assignment. Homework is really important. Like I said earlier, it's practice for the big game. If you're not doing the practice, you're going to suffer those consequences, and we really don't tolerate kids that aren't doing their homework on a regular basis. Some of the homework we collect and we grade. That homework is the homework you could use a quarterly homework pass for. Other homework assignments you'll pull out in class. Mrs. Krogan and I will come around to check to see that if you have it done. If you don't have it done, you're going to lose something called spot check points. Those spot check points, everybody starts with 40 points at the beginning of the quarter, and if you don't have your homework, -5. You just lost 5 spot check points. Those are homework assignments, smaller homework assignments that we're actually going to go over in class. So you're going to have the paper in front of you, you're going to get the answers, so that's why you're going to lose those spot check points, and quarterly homework passes don't work. But if it's a homework assignment that's being collected, you can turn in a quarterly homework pass to buy you 1 more day of time.
Quarterly homework passes do not work on labs. All right, so if we give you some time in class to complete a lab or to, experiment and work on conclusions with each other during the lab, as soon as that lab is assigned, you have probably 2 days to get it in. And if that lab does not come in, you may not use a homework pass to extend that due date. Okay, it has to be in. You'll just have to lose points that way. State test reviews, we'll kind of go over this assignment when we get further into the year. Homework passes cannot be used on the state test review assignments as well. All right, we're just about done. This very last page is super important. It is a homework assignment. What you're going to do is you're going to pull this last page off, separate these two parts of the packet. You're going to keep the first 5 pages in your important paper section of your science binder, and it's going to stay there all year long. The last page, I'd like you to take to your parents, have them read the top of this first page. They're going to sign it, supply us with some email addresses and some cell phone numbers, and then you are going to make sure that you sign the back of the copy saying that you have watched all 3 videos and that you understand the procedures and rules for our science class this year.
Science rules!